In October 1929, while the rest of America wept on the streets of New York, one man sat locked inside a secret room, guarded by armed men. As the global economy collapsed around him, his private phone lines buzzed with a singular, staggering reality. He had just made over $100 million in a single week. He had successfully shorted the United States economy. He was now one of the wealthiest and most hated men alive. But this massive victory was not the start of an empire. It was the beginning of his ultimate destruction. This is the tragedy of Jesse Livermore, known in trading circles as the Boy Plunger. To the financial world, he was a strategic mastermind. But behind the immense wealth and the legendary trades lay a psychological horror, a black box of the soul. Livermore achieved what every trader dreamed of: absolute systemic mastery over the stock market. Yet, the exact strategy he used to conquer the market would ultimately demand a price he never anticipated. It would cost him his connection to humanity. Between 1906 and the early 1920s, Jesse Livermore built his legendary status on Wall Street by treating the stock market not as a game of luck, but as a mathematical certainty driven by human behavior. He realized that price action was simply a reflection of two core human emotions: greed and fear. To exploit this, Livermore developed a strictly mechanical, emotionless system. He relied on technical analysis, market probing, and a method of pivotal points and pyramid sizing. His strategy was designed to ruthlessly capitalize on the psychological flaws of other investors. But for the system to work flawlessly, Livermore had to enforce a rule upon himself: complete and total emotional detachment. He had to remain entirely immune to the very panic and greed he was exploiting. By 1929, Livermore had elevated his detachment to a literal, physical science. He did not trade on the chaotic floor of the stock exchange. Instead, he operated from a locked, secret office. To keep the outside world away, he hired armed guards to stand watch. He installed private phone lines to receive data directly. From this isolated bunker, he watched the market ticker tape, completely removed from the human panic building outside his windows. When the historic Wall Street crash of 1929 struck, the entire financial system crumbled. Fortunes vanished overnight, businesses went bankrupt, and families were ruined. Yet inside his locked room, Livermore's mechanical system performed exactly as designed. By shorting the market, he turned the nation's catastrophic downfall into a personal profit of over $100 million. On paper, Jesse Livermore had won the ultimate game. But the moment his system achieved absolute mastery, a dark shift occurred. The sheer scale of his professional detachment shattered his mind. Livermore had successfully detached his trades from human emotion, but in doing so, he accidentally detached himself from human connection entirely. The public quickly realized who had profited from their misery. Livermore became a focal point of national rage. Severe death threats poured in, forcing him out of the public eye and into absolute, paranoid isolation. The armed guards and secret officers were no longer just tools for quiet trading. They were now mandatory for his literal survival. The wealth brought him no joy. His mechanical system had proven a deeply cynical worldview, that mankind was nothing more than a predictable, cold engine driven by fear and greed. Looking at the world through this lens, Livermore fell into a severe depression. He realized that winning the game had left him entirely empty. When your entire life is built on predicting and capitalizing on the weaknesses of others, it becomes impossible to trust, love, or find meaning in those same people. By the 1930s, the market began to experience subsequent systemic shifts. The rules of the game were changing. But Livermore, trapped in his mental isolation, no longer had the heart or the emotional drive to fight. He lost his entire fortune to these new market forces. Ending and takeaway. In 1940, the final page of the tragedy was written. Jesse Livermore walked into a cloakroom, pulled out a gun, and shot himself. He left behind a final note, stating plainly that his life was an absolute failure. The grand irony of the Boy Plunger remains a stark warning for Wall Street and beyond. Jesse Livermore spent his life mastering a system to exploit the behavioral flaws of humanity. But in the end, the ultimate human lesson prevailed. When your life's work relies on perfectly predicting and exploiting the weaknesses of humanity, you eventually lose your ability to survive within it.